Crowdfunding is a part of the broader concept of crowdsourcing, which uses the crowd to obtain ideas, feedback, and solutions in order to develop corporate activities. Crowdfunding is embedded in the definition of crowdsourcing, that in turn is related to a profit-oriented firm that outsources specific tasks to the general public, the crowd, in the form of an open call over the internet, by animating individuals to make a voluntary contribution. Crowdfunding is not only a way to finance the project, it's a way to think it. Entrepreneurship is supported by crowdfunding because it allows the approximation between your project and the public. According to an empirical study of Lambert and Schwenbacher, crowdfunding is a phenomenon in which over 80% of respondents have used crowdfunding for projects or for their own company only after 2007. The main objective of crowdfunding is to provide an alternative way to raise funds to entrepreneurs. Crowdfunding have become a useful alternative route, partially because of a lack of sufficient value that can be pledged to investors, partially because of unsuccessful attempts to find and convince investors. The difference between crowdfunding and traditional fundraising is that crowdfunding is a method to raise funds for the benefit of a project whose initiator requires money to initiate it. Traditional fundraising is the process of raising funds for the benefit of a community. It's a charity-driven work. In easier terms, crowdfunding is the process of funding your project by accumulating money from various individuals, whereas fundraising is seeking financial support for various causes of charity. Crowdfunding is preferred to traditional forms of external funding because it's a way to make a product better known by the consumers and because organizations tend to be more successful in using crowdfunding. Some advantages of crowdfunding are: it's a fast way to raise finance, it's a valuable form of marketing, you can get feedback and expert guidance, it makes you test the public's reaction, investors can track your progress, and your investors can often become your most loyal customers, and it's an alternative financial option. Some of the disadvantages of crowdfunding are: it will not necessarily be an easier process. If you don't reach your funding target, you have to return all the money to the investors and ended up receiving nothing. Failed projects risk damage the reputation of your business. And if you don't have a proper patent or copyright, someone may steal your concept. There are several types of crowdfunding: peer-to-peer lending, equity crowdfunding, rewards-based crowdfunding, donation-based crowdfunding, profit sharing, revenue sharing, debt securities crowdfunding, hybrid models. Peer-to-peer lending. The crowd lends money to a company with the understanding that the money will be repaid with interest. It's very similar to traditional borrowing from a bank, except that you borrow from lots of investors. Equity crowdfunding. Sale of a stake in a business to a number of investors in return for investment. The idea is similar to how common stock is bought or sold on a stock exchange, or to a venture capital. Rewards-based crowdfunding. Individuals donate to a project or business with expectations of receiving in return a non-financial reward, such as goods or services, at a later stage in exchange of their contribution. Donation-based crowdfunding. Individuals donate small amounts to meet the larger funding aim of a specific charitable project while receiving no financial or material return. Profit sharing, revenue sharing. Business can share future profits or revenues with the crowd in return for funding now. Debt securities crowdfunding. Individuals invest in a debt security issued by the company, such as a bond. Hybrid models offer businesses the opportunity to combine elements of more than one crowdfunding type. Before deciding the platform for investment on crowdfunding, it's better to consider if other forms of finance could better meet the needs of the business. It's important to mention that there are obligations that must be taken into account when money is raised. Therefore, it's crucial to comply with legal requests. Based on the given options of crowdfunding above, I've chosen some of those that may suit best for respect. As the majority of the business-related crowdfunding happens with rewards-based crowdfunding, it leads to more engagement. If respects start crowdfunding through the rewards-based model, they could reward supporters by providing a VIP place in an annual Respect celebration party, for example, a limited edition of a specific model of clothes, or even free admission for shows and concerts that Respect may sponsor. Through Indiegogo or Kickstarter, Respect could raise money, committing to deliver these benefits to them. Benefits can be tangible, intangible, or experience, and the benefits must match the profile of the supporters. Fashion businesses, in general, are more likely to succeed in crowdfunding through equity model. If Respect opts for equity crowdfunding, they could agree on a percentage of the company profit share at the end of each accounting year. In addition, as donors are not actually backers of the company, they are investors getting share of ownership, it could be provided extra exclusive special percentage on sales that themselves, the supporters, make, even better than usual rates that resellers get, or even access to the whole annual financial statements. WeFunder, Local Stake, and Seed Invest are some of the best platforms for equity crowdfunding model. Regardless the choice between the two options suggested above, the PAPI methodology, which consists in planning, implementation, page, and activation, is really recommended. The campaign is divided into two parts, campaign and activation page, and the methodology is divided into two stages, planning and implementation. When the two divisions are created, there are 4 stages, as shown in the image below. Planning. The first step is to define the scope, establishing a goal of how much should be collected, the time of the campaign, and what will be done with this money, because people do not buy what you produce, they believe in what you believe. What will be done? Renting a place in Dublin, Ireland, to be the core of operations in Europe. Why? To spread the brand worldwide, expanding the reach and increasing profitability. How? Opening a physical store and also a stock place to meet the demand for online orders, thereby starting international operations. How much? 30,000 Brazilian reais. That roughly means 4,700 euros. A good planning requires a summary sentence to attract people to support your business. Besides that, a list of people and institutions that can support with higher values must be made in order to make personal contact with them. Implementation. The implementation must follow a schedule to keep the investors updated about the progress of the process. That's why it's so important an assertive plan. During the implementation, it's expected in advance to have more money gathered at the beginning and at the very end of the crowdfunding time. Therefore, the efforts must be applied the most, especially in those periods. Conclusion. After evaluating the current scenario of the market and the business itself, it's concluded that a well-elaborated plan is a key for the success for crowdfunding. Likewise, relationship and contact network will make a lot of difference in crowdfunding, as well as it happens in most kinds of businesses strategies. Moreover, a long time for the crowdfunding process is not always beneficial, as its success is more about the accuracy of the efforts than the time placed for collecting money. Overall, crowdfunding is an alternative rich of possibilities to make Respect's business to leverage and should not be overlooked.